Today guys, it is now officially spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and if you happen to be living in Singapore, this means it is also going to be one of the hottest periods of the year. And because of how warm and how humid things get around here, the choices we make in fragrances tend to have to reflect that as well. So today I'm going to run through a listing of some of my top picks or recommendations for very fresh, very wearable scents that are not going to feel too cloying or smell too strong in the heat. Now the first one I'm going to mention is a long-time favorite of mine. In fact, I've been using it for about 9 years, and they've changed the name and the packaging slightly, but the smell is just as beautiful, and it is not an expensive fragrance, which is a fantastic thing. So this is Citrus Verbena, Verveines, Agrumes, Fraiche. Butchering the name. Okay, this is from LOccitane. Now they have a regular Verbena range in sort of green labeling. This is the yellow one, and it is just the most beautiful lemony scent. You know, there are a lot of lemony citrus scents that kind of smell like floor cleaner, you know, or dishwashing liquid. This just doesn't smell like that. Now this contains actual organic verbena extract, so that is one of the reasons why it smells so real, so lifelike. And sometimes if I'm really, really hot, I'll just even spray this around the room because it instantly just feels like there's a breeze going through the area. The lasting power for most citrus scents isn't stellar, and this is not an exception, but it's cheap enough that I don't mind just respraying it and bringing it around. It also comes in a small nifty bottle like this. This is a 15 milliliter, and it's slim enough for me to chuck in many of my purses and just bring it around. This smells like fancy lemon sorbet that you eat between courses at an expensive restaurant to cleanse your palate. It's very juicy, it's very refreshing. Now sticking with the whole lemony vibe, I have to bring up Chanel No. 5 Low. A lot of people don't realize that the Chanel No. 5 flankers, the little baby sisters, Au Premier and then now Low, both contain not just that classic blend of expensive florals that make Chanel No. 5 what it is. There's a rich jasmine and rose blend in there that is very, very recognizable. It makes Chanel No. 5 Chanel No. 5. They also share this lemony citrus top note, and that is very much more pronounced in Low and in Au Premier because they took away a lot of the very strong aldehydes from the original No. 5. So if you want a No. 5 that is more delicate and more translucent, that is, you know, like a watercolor version of the original, then No. 5 is a very nice version to pick up. I have to say it does smell very expensive. It's very understated, very subdued for a No. 5, but it smells posh. You know, the kind of lady that is posh but not loud. She's very classy. Personally, I find Low to have a much nicer, more modern, more clean and very crisp opening compared to Au Premier, which is understandable because Au Premier I think is at least 15 to 20 years old by now. I have to say that I find the opening for Low very much more modern, very much more likable, very much more in line with today's tastes. However, Au Premier has this beautiful sorbet, sweet, lemony dry down that Low lacks. So if you kind of like the idea of a softer Chanel No. 5, try both of those and wear one on each wrist, let it dry down a little while, and then decide which one you like more because you may be surprised. Now Low has that great opening, but it is the weakest of all the Chanel No. 5s when it comes to the dry down, I feel. The way I would describe this is one of those girls that's just very understated, very elegant, really pretty, and your eyes are just drawn to her when she walks into the room. But after the initial meet and greet, you kind of realize she doesn't quite have as much substance as some of her other sisters. So that's the way I would describe No. 5 Low. Now, let's ignore the fact that this has got to be the ugliest, cheapest, most tacky looking bottle in the history of perfume making. I mean, come on, BritneySpears Radiance. But the scent is very, very pleasant. This is one of those that I have gotten multiple compliments from random strangers for. Always men. And it's a tuberose scent with some red berries, fruits in there. So it's very very, very juicy, it's very sparkly, it is very sweet, and it's very fresh, it's very easy to wear. Don't expect this to smell expensive. This is the kind of smell I expect when I walk into Bath & Body Works and Victoria's Secret, you know, just fun, inexpensive, sweet, very pleasant, and inoffensive. While this is supposed to be a tuberose scent, it doesn't smell too much like a floral scent. So if you are afraid of very heavily floral fragrances or something that really smells like real tuberose, this is not it. It is very, very synthetic. It is very, very cheap if you buy this online or from sort of wholesale distributors at places like Lucky Plaza. You know those stores, perfume discount stores? They will tend to have a lot of celebrity perfumes on very steep discounts. And if you spring for a tester bottle of one of these, it is even cheaper. I think I got this for like 20 plus US dollars online, so. The next fragrance is quite a new one to my collection, so I haven't worn it a ton, but I have to be in a very specific mood to wear this because it really just smells like clean laundry sheets, and that is Lazy Sunday Morning by Maison Margiela. This is one of the replica range that I mentioned before in some of my other videos, where they try to recreate familiar scents and moments and places to sort of evoke memories from people wearing them. And this one is described as soft skin and bed linen, which is quite beautiful if you think about it. It smells like very clean hotel sheets, you know, if you're rolling around in them. Now this is a musk scent, but it's a synthetic musk. So it's not the very animalic, very sexy, very raunchy, dirty skin-like kind of a musk. This is laundry detergent musk. And we've come to associate musk smells with detergent over the years because it's just one of those scents that can survive the laundry cycle and still come out smelling nice. So it's been used a ton in detergent products, and that is why we grow up associating certain musk smells with laundry. This is very clean, it's very nondescript. I have to be in a very, very specific mood to wear this one because it almost smells too clean, a little bit too sterile, you know, like sheets that have never been touched, which is nice in a way, but then you just want to go in and dirty them, you know, when it's really, really, really hot and it's very muggish and it's just feeling sticky and gross. This is just something that I like to pull out and spritz on, and it just feels like you just came out of the shower. The next scent is the equivalent of an AC blasting in your face. It almost smells cool when you breathe it in, and that is AERIN's Iris Meadow. Now this smells more like a cologne than a floral scent, despite the name Iris Meadow. Now this contains blackcurrant and iris and jasmine, as well as some woods and musks, but despite the name being Iris Meadow, this is not a very floral fragrance at all. The blackcurrant is very, very sharp, it's very green, so it's almost like some sort of citrus leaf instead of a fruit. There's nothing very juicy about it, and this smells very much like a cologne in my opinion. It smells almost masculine, which is also one of the things that I like about it. It smells very sharp, very citrus, very fresh, very woody, very clean. For how sharp and how fresh it smells, it actually lasts for many hours on my skin. A lot of the very cologne-like citrus kind of fruity, fresh scents usually last for about 1 to 2 hours max on me, and this one really manages to perform. So I find it kind of justifies the higher price tag for this one. Moving right along, the next one is also a pretty popular one, and this is Pure Poison by Dior. This is what I consider a sweeter white musk. Sweet because of florals, but it's not sugary sweet. It's not heavy, it's not headache inducing, for me at least. And it has been popular for so long, I feel, because it is very pleasant, but it's not overly generic as far as soft feminine scents go. It is sweet, but it's never too sweet. This is the most normal of all the poisons. This is the normal sister. She's a very pretty girl, but she's not quite as sassy or as sexy or as unique as her other sisters, but she is the prettiest, I find. It is less powdery smelling than white musk from the Body Shop, and it is a bit cleaner, a bit fresher and lighter and more crisp than the Narciso Rodriguez musks. So it is a very, very safe scent, but it's not overly generic. I find it's not the typical floral fruity scent. Compared to her other poison sisters, of course this is the most blah one of those, but she is very pretty. It's a very pretty girl. The next scent is what I consider value buy because it smells way more expensive than it actually is, and that is Fancy Love by JessicaSimpson. I know quite a lot of perfume reviewers actually like this scent. It reminds me very much of Burberry Eau de Parfum for women. The classic original Burberry in the sort of like a oval roundish bottle with the amber orange juice. This is like almost a dupe for that. It's got that very classy, very posh kind of a peach note, which is peach blossom and not the actual fruit itself. So it's a bit delicate. It is tart and it's fresh and it's really beautiful. And at the base of it, there's a little bit of woods and also very creamy musk. So it rounds everything out and it takes it away from that tutti fruity territory and gives it a little bit of class and sophistication. It's like this little bit of creaminess in there that cuts the sweetness, cuts the tartness a bit. And this performs pretty well as well, about 4 to 5 hours for me. It's cheap enough that I don't mind reapplying if I have to, but I think the performance is pretty good for how cheap this is. Again, this is one of those celebrity fragrances that you can buy from discount stores and online for like dirt cheap. I got this for I think no more than 30 bucks US. And a lot of people actually wear this for more classy, elegant events because it does smell very classy. I mean, just never let anyone see this tacky bottle. Hide it away in the back of the cabinet, but take it out and spray it on before you go out. The very last scent I am going to mention today is a niche scent, and this is Super Cedar by Byredo. This is a very unisex line. It's a Scandinavian perfume line and they're very clean, almost minimalistic scents that are never too heavy, but this smells so beautiful. Even though when we think of cedar, we typically think of very masculine scents, you know, clean wood, clean furniture and all that. There is something very universally likable about a synthetic cedar note, and I believe that this contains a heavy dose of Iso E Super. If you've ever smelled that before, or Molecule 01, that is a scent that is built entirely around that single note, Iso E Super. It is a very clean synthetic note that smells a little bit like cedarwood. When you get past the initial blast, the woodiness, the tarriness, the slightly bitter tang in the initial maybe like 2 to 5 minutes, you know, when you spray it on, I find it sort of settles into this very formless, very hard to identify, clean and sweet note that reminds me of a lot of synthetic ambers, maybe ambroxan or something like that. One of those very clean, sweet, vague notes that no one can really place. You can't tell if it's a fruit or it's, you know, a wood or it's a flower or is it a musk. You know, it's just very vague because it's a synthetic scent. I spritz it on in the morning when it's still cool and then let the initial sharp opening dissipate first. After you go out and your body temperature rises in heat, you start to warm up a little bit, you suddenly get this waft of really clean, very ethereal kind of a smell floating up around you, and you just have to smell it to know what I mean, because it's very hard to describe a synthetic note that doesn't exist in nature. Although I guess, you know, if you smell a lot of synthetic cedar perfumes or Iso E Super perfumes, then you may be familiar with scents like this. So that is a listing of all the scents that I like to reach for on very warm days or during springtime, you know, when you want something a little bit fresher and lighter. I think the issue with picking warm weather scents is that one, they tend to go on really strong for the first 15 to 30 minutes because of the heat. So you don't really want to go with scents that are very rich, very thick, very cloying, because that's going to make you sick, it's going to make everyone around you feel ill too, and that's just not good. The second point obviously is that you'll be perspiring quite a bit in warm weather. So a lot of the musky, very heavy, very sweet, very thick oriental type scents may actually not smell quite as good on your skin when mixed with perspiration. And a lot of times something that's very clean, very translucent, very crystalline, or that smells like fresh laundry or fresh fruit, that tends to help you feel and smell a lot fresher and cleaner to people around you. So that is another reason why you want to pick certain kinds of scents and not others. Fresh scents tend not to last quite as well as the richer, heavier scents that you may be wearing around autumn and winter time. So if you're not the type to bring scents out with you for respraying through the day, then one way to make your fragrances last a little bit longer around you is to spray it onto your clothes from a distance, or your hair, mist it around your hair from a distance. Don't go really close and do a concentrated spritz, you know, like 2 inches away, because one, it will dry out your hair, and two, they can leave stains on your clothing and ruin very delicate fabrics. So just be careful with that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, that really helps me. And if you have warm weather fragrance recommendations, you know, things that you love for hot weather or when you're feeling kind of sweaty and gross, list them in the comment section below. And I will see you soon. Bye.